Welcome to the Regal Eagle Report. I'm Lasia.
And I'm Raj, and we're your co-hosts.
We're Team 2869, a diverse and inclusive team located at Bethpage High School.
We are aiming for our podcast to be an outlet to interact with other teams and collaborate on various ideas and thoughts.
We're so excited to introduce our brand new series where we'll be interviewing one team from each state.
Embark on our journey as we will be aiming to hit every state, reaching our goal of 50.
For this week's episode, we'll be interviewing the RoboBees from Maryland.
So please introduce yourselves and as well as your position on the team. So we'll go first. I'm Raj Shah. I'm the drive coach for Team 2869.
I'm Lasia, and I'm the podcast manager, and I help with anything outreach-based.
I'm Lexi. I'm our lead strategist.
I'm Michael. I'm one of the lead mechanical students.
And I'm William, and I'm a senior lead on our software division.
Awesome.
So our first question is, how was your team founded? What is its origin?
So it was founded by a mentor in the tech center. His name was Mr. Buttonbone, and he started the team just out of an interest in robotics and wanting to improve the community back in the day. And that was pretty much the founding.
Is there a origin story behind your team's name? Like the RoboBees. So it's a cool name.
Yeah.
So what's the origin for that?
Yeah, so we don't actually have a concrete answer because none of the people from the original team are still on the team, but we have two leading theories. So one is that the lead mentor, Mr. Buttonbone, was named Mr. B. That was his nickname. So it was like the RoboBees because it was his, because he started the team. And the other leading theory is that a lot of our students came from Great Mills, which is a school in our district, and their team is the Hornets. So we didn't want to just copy over that. So we went with the Bees for that one. So those are the two main reasons I think that we became the RoboBees.
So how many years were each of you part of FRC, or just the first program in general?
So last year was my rookie year. So this is my second year on the team.
This is my third year on the team.
And I've been involved with FIRST since, I believe, 6th grade. I started in FLL, and then I moved up to FTC for 2 years, and then I've been on FRC for 4 years.
Nice.
Yeah, I have something similar. So I did FLL from 5th grade to 8th grade, and then I joined the FRC team. So, cool. So where's your guys' school located? Is it like a bigger school district? 'Cause I know you said you have a couple schools that kind of feed in, but how many schools feed in, and is it a big school district, smaller school district? How do you get members and all that?
Actually not affiliated with a specific school. We are a nonprofit organization, Growing Stems, and the nonprofit encompasses our FRC team, FTC, and also VexGo and VexIQ. So we are in a separate building. We take students from Leonardtown High School, Great Mills High School, Chapticon High School, homeschool kids, Riken kids.
I guess we have a good representation right here because I go to the Great Mills High School, and then Michael, you're homeschooled.
From Leonardtown.
Yeah. So it's a nice experience being able to bridge the gap between those schools. Typically for teams, they would be isolated to a school, but this is not the case at all, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So where
That's
do you guys,
cool.
Yeah.
No, you go, Lasia.
Where do you guys meet? The fact that you guys have so many schools feeding in.
So we actually rent a space. Every student pays a yearly tuition, and that money goes towards our robots, our rent. We have a field house and a machine shop with a lot of donated materials. And our mentors are very, very hardworking and dedicated, so they typically open the shop, and we have hours after school where everybody meets.
How far do people commute to get to your guys' shop and field?
I'd say probably up to 30 minutes for the people that live far away.
The Dodgers live about an hour.
An hour, so it's probably an hour away. There you go. But a lot of team members do live in a neighborhood nearby that's only 10, 5, 15 minutes away. Large range.
Got it.
So, what are some ways you guys increase membership from so many schools?
So a lot of it is from a lower age programs like you were talking about.
So we have a Vex Go, Vex IQ, FTC pipeline. We do a lot of outreach in the community to get kids into those programs, and as they grow and age out of the programs, especially FTC, we absorb them into our FRC team. We also have a combat pipeline.
Yeah, that's a newer thing for our teams. About two or 3 years ago, we started a kind of a combat program, and it's just grown since then. Well, it started out as a competitive combat team that would go up to NHRL, Norwalk Havoc, which is an event in Connecticut. And then it's also moved into, we do like termite weight robots, which are small like wooden robots, and we offer that for like younger school age, elementary, middle school age kids. And that's increased a lot of membership because a lot of people are interested in that. And then we'll move into FTC and eventually FRC, hopefully.
We especially offer summer camps
Yeah.
for younger kids, which helps to get more participation.
Yeah.
So are the Vex and like FTC, like, are they in your like other schools, or do they work in like your shop area too?
In our building, yeah.
Okay.
All of our teams, everything related to the team really happens in this building.
So like, how many people do you normally have in the building at once?
Well, we have several on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. They're known as mandatory meeting nights, so everybody comes out in force, and then
Everybody from FOC.
everybody from FRC. And then other nights of the week it's optional, but I think at our max there's 26 on the FRC team.
I've seen upwards of 50 before.
Yeah.
And
Damn.
that isn't just FRC, because we do have separate rooms for the different programs. FRC is just by virtue of how large everything is, that's the largest room by far, and that's connected to our machine shop. But then we also have a few rooms just that we dedicate to the FTC, and they have some spaces allocated out. And since the schedules for the competition seasons are usually such that there isn't too much overlap, we're never super duper tight on space. But yeah, the building being separate from a school, it's worked well for us so far.
So, like, adding on, do you guys have a lot of teams around you, or are you guys like the main one, things like that?
So if you I don't know where they found it, but there's this map that has like a little pin on every FRC team, and if you were to look at ours, it's a little dot and then a massive ring of no teams.
Yeah, we're pretty alone in the Southern Maryland area, and we have connections to a couple of other teams in the CHS district. And actually, this Friday we went up to a full-scale field and practiced with a couple there, and it was very fun talking to people from the other teams. But yeah, in terms of distance away, we're we're pretty far away from a lot of other teams.
Mm-hmm. So you guys compete at a district level?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we used to compete at a regional level up until I think 2015,
Like,
14 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, up until 2015 we were on a regional level, but then we changed to the district. So
That's cool because I'll probably be watching the Chesapeake districts because my cousin's going to DCMP. So
awesome.
yeah, so
What's
he's from Virginia. Oh, 5549 Griffin Robotics. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you could say you couldn't go and be like one of your we talked to one of your members' cousin like couple weeks ago. If you really want to, but that's really cool. I guess kind of shifting gears a little bit. What are some ways your team has gathered sponsors?
So
we get a lot of, one thing is we do get a lot of donations from the parents of our students, and we get money that way. As far as getting sponsorships, we do a lot of it from the outreach events. So we happen to live close to a naval base. So we get a lot of sponsors like DoD STEM and that kind of Department of Defense sort of thing. And by virtue of that, we're also close to DC and a lot of tech companies there and stuff. So we go to the CO Space program and stuff like that and get sponsors from there.
yeah, since the pandemic hit, we lost some sponsors, so it has been a bit of a struggle to maintain the program. But we're hopeful that we can start bumping up our outreach and get more. We also do get some money from our combat teams because when we do well at NHRL, we get prize money.
Yeah, and actually, I believe I do not know the exact details of all of the organization's financials, that's not really for me to know. But I do know that there was a significant donation that was, or sponsorship that was made through NHRL recently, which I think is pretty much funding our FRC program, at least for like this year and potentially a few others.
Last year we had a lot of success at NHRL, and I think we kind of realized that if we continue to put more resources towards that you can get a lot of prize money from that, and that it helps to offset the cost of FOC a lot.
We actually bought a full combat cage that takes up like a full room.
And we're planning to expand it so that this place might actually become, like, hopefully a place where competitions for combat can happen, which would be really cool.
We actually already host a 1 pound combat robot competition, which is another summer camp for a little older. I think it's like 11 to like 15 or 17 or something. And so that happens over like a 6-week course or something. And then at the end, they'll do a little tournament in-house. But we hope to expand that to other weight classes and use the bigger cage and all that stuff. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you guys have any other sponsors you would like to list out?
We get a lot of stuff from West Coast Products.
Yeah.
One of our mentors is friends with the CEO of West Coast Products, so we have a partnership with them. When they came out with their new Swerve modules in like 2020 or 2019, they sent it to us so that we could test it actually and send notes and stuff like that. And so we use a lot of their products and
so are you still running the Swerve X's?
Yep.
Yeah.
How have you been liking them?
Awesome.
Yeah, we were beta testers, so we know a lot about them, and we've been rocking them ever since.
I don't think we've ever had any mechanical issues with them, and any programming issues. I mean, really not specifically to do with the Swerve. I don't think ever.
So, that's really cool. Yeah, we use the Mark IV so
nice.
We're at CS here. Yeah. I get what are some of your like other fundraising initiatives as well? I know you talked a little briefly about them, but if you want to go through a couple more that you guys do.
So we, especially during the off season, is where we do a lot of our outreach programs. There's a lot of kind of festivals or events in the area. There's a local oyster festival that we go to. There's the Dragon Boat Festival, River Concert Series, where it's just kind of like there's food trucks and other kind of just people. There's a lot of people that show up, and then we set up a tent and we run our robots. We actually created a robot specifically for outreach events that can run outside. We went to Sierra Space, which was like, it was like a tech expo.
It's like a technology expo for all the big companies and dealers in DC and the surrounding areas.
So it's in National Harbor, and we drove up. We had a robot. We talked to a lot of people. It was really cool. So we, as many different events as we can get to, we try to show up.
And it's kind of a funny like community environment around where we live, and this relates to our outreach initiatives because we're in a super rural part of Maryland, like southern tip. But due to the base that we mentioned earlier, the naval base, the testing facility, there is a lot of STEM interest, which usually you wouldn't really find in a rural place. Not to say that doesn't happen, but it's often like urban hotspots that have a lot of technology interest. But we're a rural place with a lot of people that just happen to be really interested in stuff that relates to robotics. So we have a lot of success just reaching out to the community in to give them just an outlet, I guess. We do like model rocket launches and stuff. That's one of the things that we provide for our outreach events. And there are a ton of really small kids that just fall in love with that. And I think maybe that is just partly because rockets are cool and kids like rockets. But it's also because there are a lot of kids that are in families that are involved with the base. So a lot of people who have interest in STEM and not necessarily too many opportunities to grow that passion in the local area. So we're super happy to be one of them.
That's really cool.
We get a lot of mentors from the base too, which is another nice thing. Like a lot of our programming mentors do, systems and programming stuff for the naval base, or the mechanical mentors, or the head of machine shops on base and stuff like that. So it's also a good resource for getting that mentorship.
That's really cool. Because like there's a few DoD STEM sponsored teams here as well.
Mhm.
But but like it's really cool just to be next to actually working. I'm assuming people we can get to this later, but I'm assuming people kind of like go into that as a career as well from your team.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great pipeline for I mean, actually this year I'm doing an internship on base, and a lot of people on my team do that because, you know, you can get there's a lot of people on the team and you can get vouched for and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a good pipeline for going into that career if that's what you choose.
And there's a lot of people on the team whose parents are in the base, and my dad's in the DoD, so it's
My dad's in the DoD.
so it's really cool to have that kind of connection with your parents of the like they do robotic stuff, we do robotic stuff. It's a very cool kind of environment.
It is.
So, like, how many mentors do you guys have? Is that question?
I think we currently have 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6 mechanical mentors.
Oh, mechanical.
Yeah, and for programming, I think it's 6. There are a few mentors that do a lot of more general upkeep.
Yeah.
Like they help more on an organizational level. Like we have one mentor who does a lot of our system administration stuff, and he has been involved on the team for basically its entire duration. So he's a very old mentor. Not age-wise, but you know, he's been with the team for a while. And yeah, he makes our software, like our actual development environment, like he's the one who sets it up. We have like servers in our room, so we can.
I'm talking about Dan.
Yes, Dan.
Dan also makes our scouting app every year.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
Also, I've been informed we have 16 total mentors, so about 6 on mechanical, 6 on programming, and then a few for like general organization-wide management and stuff.
Nice. Okay, so now coming to like your robot, how has your robot evolved over the years?
Yes, I mean it's evolved a lot. Mechanically, our resources have changed a lot because we used to be based out of the tech center, which was like drawing from 3 main schools, so we had more limited capabilities as far as machine shops and CAD software and stuff like that. And as we've continued, at least from a mechanical perspective, now we have an in-house machine shop. So we've got like a CNC router, you know, mills, lathes. One of our mentors works for a laser cutting facility that's like 5 minutes walk down the road. And so we can get a ton of parts cut on like industrial laser cutters, and that has cut down on our machine time a lot. And then we have sponsors from like SolidWorks and stuff like that. So we have, you know, the ability to do maybe higher fidelity modeling stuff, and that has helped a lot. And then from a programmatic perspective,
Yeah, software. The year that I joined, we swapped over from using LabVIEW to Java, and that since LabVIEW was just a year before my time, I don't know too much about it. But in terms of software, we have always prided ourselves on having a pretty strong software foundation, and that's partly because we have some really good mentors from the base, and they do a lot of really interesting software things. But yeah, that the transition to Java from LabVIEW is probably the biggest evolution that has that's happened recently. And last year, we won the Autonomous Award at World, so we've had some growth over the years, and it's been really nice.
I actually wanted to ask about that really quick. With so you guys had an amazing run at Worlds. Like you guys made it all the way to the finals, like the very like finals 3.
Yep.
And like a big part of that, I think, was your guys' autonomy. And you guys actually have it's like auto, like you have correction, right? So if you get bumped a little bit during autonomous, you were still able to pick up the cone and the cube, right?
Yeah.
So like how did you guys like work on that? Like when did you guys start developing that and everything? I wanted to ask for the programming side.
So the game piece tracking has been something that we had been tinkering with even in 2022. In 2022, we had color detection systems for the cargo pieces, the balls, and we had been prototyping that over the off season. And initially, we weren't using Limelight; we were actually using a custom solution. And the decision to do game piece tracking in 2023 was something that we had not been initially planning on as one of the major required features, because of the way that auto was that year. There wasn't as much need for correction. Like, it was within a relatively small area, but it turned out that correction was very helpful in those edge cases. So during district champs, we decided to mount a limelight on. It was literally just a camera pole that we like slapped on our robot in maybe like 5 minutes. Just a piece of metal, but it worked. And yeah, the pursuit of object detection, for FRC in general, it's become a lot more common, which is really cool to see. Like Limelight and its new coral system. We don't actually use Limelight anymore this year. We've been running completely off of photon vision. But yeah, the prevalence of game piece tracking has certainly increased, and it's cool to see, and we're right along there beside it. Yeah.
So are you guys doing like note tracking for the center notes this year? Or like, like correcting anything?
Yeah. So this year, we do have a game piece tracker mounted on our robot. We are mainly using it for teleop stuff, actually. The implementing it in auto, from our a strategy and software perspective, we thought that itself is less important than being able to have a bunch of different autos that could compensate for the fact that centerline notes are going to get stolen a lot. So we have the ability to pick and choose, basically, which notes we would like to get.
From a strategy or strategic aspect, we do very intensive scouting. And so I have a project, I guess, where I can see every single robot at the event, how often they go for which centerline notes. So I can see if they have centerline capabilities, which ones, how often. I can go back match by match and see which robots handle which notes. And we also review match footage, so we can see how fast they are, so we can accurately assess which notes we can get, which ones we should leave, in order to protect our robot from being hit.
And we'll do match by match strategy where she'll call the drive team from the stands, me, and then we'll inform a technician about which auto we should run to, if we can beat another robot to a piece, or if we should leave that one for them so we can't get it, or just all that kind of thing to just optimize and maximize how many pieces we can get in auto without breaking the intake on another spot.
Yeah, because you guys are running an over the bumper intake, right? Yeah, same with us. We so we actually had a similar idea. So we knew that the centerline auto, you're gonna get snatched. So it's kind of like if you have multiple autos that could grab different notes, right? And then when we were looking to strategically, we were like, we prefer the center, just doing the four note from the center. But I would just looking at it from a strategic perspective, we see the importance of having side autos and having multiple side autos. So the way we actually do some of our note detection, we don't really do note detection. We did a little bit of it last year with cubes, so we had cube detection for auto. But this year, what we're doing is we just have a camera mounted. We actually use the Limelight camera because the other cameras we have aren't actually that great frame rate. So we're using a Limelight as the front facing camera, and then we basically have a button that switches to robot oriented mode, so that we can drive looking at the camera at the source station. That actually is working out pretty well for us.
Yeah, that's similar to what we did in 2023 as well. We would have be able to target the cubes specifically. For the cones, we were never really picking them off of the ground just because of the way that the station worked out. But the cubes themselves, we would kind of lock on heading, and then it would turn into robot oriented instead of field oriented for temporarily while we were picking them up.
Yep. Do you guys want to talk about anything else you've had outside the swerves and all that? So anything else that you guys have brought in? Have you guys experimented with a turret? Have you guys with different intaking and all different parts of your intakes and all that, or is what have you been able to add to your robot?
I mean, last year we added a turret, a turret of sorts where the whole arm would rotate 30 degrees in either direction, just because it made it easier for placing cones. I think we would decided this year that it kind of wasn't worth it with all of the other mechanisms that we needed, and we're trying to fit into a space and the amount of time that we had, so we didn't pursue a turret this year.
I guess from like one of the I guess interesting points about our robot is that and this is something that we have done previous years as well, and something that we're pretty proud of. It's the kind of merging of kind of autonomous systems into teleop. Like we've done pretty well with our autos historically, but also having driver integration with some of those software routines is something that we put a lot of emphasis on. And mechanically, our robot is pretty complicated, and just complicated in terms of like there are a lot of things that need to be synchronized and work together. And if we just gave manual control to the driver, there's a pretty good chance they'd either like guillotine a note or like get it stuck in some place it really shouldn't be. So a lot of our automated systems allow us to like safely transform or transfer the note into different robot states, and just in terms of like overall gameplay perspective as well, not just like getting the note through the robot. We have a lot of like auto orientation, making sure that the driver can't mess up terribly when they're trying to climb. We have a lot of systems in place that will kind of either augment the controls slightly or just take away a little bit of control and just handle it in software, so that the driver just has less things to think about.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest keys to FRC is having it so there's very little like it basically make it so the driver is playing a video game and everything else is automated for him.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of things that we've changed this year, we were a week 1, I think.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a struggle to get everything completed in time. So now that we've had like a bit more time to kind of reassess, we've made our intake more robust because it's over the
broke a
bumper.
lot.
Because it broke a lot, yeah. We, are definitely prioritizing making things easily fixable. Robust, yeah. We've altered our climb hooks. Then we're just trying to make small optimizations throughout the entire robot to make sure that everything is integrated well, works together, and we're fixing as many things as we can in order to make sure that we are the best that we can make our robot.
Awesome.
So you guys mentioned like VEX teams and FTC teams. So do you guys mentor them or?
We do have student volunteers for the VEX, like Go VEX IQ teams, as well as combat. So like for the younger combat programs, I mentor some of those because I do the travel team with NHRL. And I know I haven't done mentoring with the VEX, but there are teams or team members that do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, we tend to volunteer and help with the kids. We don't have students that specifically are mentors for the younger teams.
Yeah, but there are mentors for their
Yes.
specific VEX teams, a few. So yeah.
What are some of your other like bigger major outreach initiatives? So like locally and internationally.
We don't do anything internationally.
Yeah. At the moment, we don't have enough like resources that are non-robot specific to kind of get out there.
We used to have 3 sub-teams, mechanical, programming, and media, and the media sub-team would handle a lot of our outreach events and things like that, and they've kind of dissolved because everybody graduated and don't really have a mentor to handle that at the moment. So we don't really have as many outreach initiatives right now, but we're hoping to step them up.
So right now it's mostly just the stuff that we can get to locally and just show off the robots, that stuff. But I mean, we would hope to have some wider spreading initiatives soon, but
I think probably the widest reaching thing that we've done recently was actually winning the safety animation award, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that.
We won both.
Oh yeah,
We won the safety animation and the
just the general one.
yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we won animation awards last year, and that was because this was a member of the media sub team, and he recently graduated, He was an incredibly talented animator. But yeah, unfortunately, he graduated. So
Now he's in college doing animation for his degree.
Yeah, but that is probably the widest reaching influence that we've had recently.
Yeah.
And hopefully that can continue at some point. But this year, we're kind of in a rebound.
Yeah.
So your team has won like EI and Chairman's in the past. Do you guys know like what years and like maybe your best guess on what do you think really pushed you guys to win that year?
Yeah, so we won the Chairman's Award in 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2015, and those were all on a regional level. And we won engineering EI in 2017 was the year that we got that. And I think the reason that we haven't kind of pursued that so much in recent years is we used to be based originally back in the tech center, which was drawing from the three schools in our area. And so we had people that were like culinary majors and art majors, or not majors, but art focused, and a lot of students from that. So when we left the tech center and just went to our own facility, now pretty much the people who are signing up for our team are people who are interested in mechanical and programming. You know, we don't have a large pipeline for artists or just people who want to do more of that like outreach stuff and that it's more just engineering. So we don't really have the, like she said, the media sub team is kind of non-existent this year, and even when we did have it a few years ago, it was really only two people and one mentor, 2 students. So we just didn't really have the student base that was like focusing on trying to get those awards. So
and we do have systems. This is something that we added recently, because the fact that students who are interested in robotics will generally just want to do robotics. I guess that's a phenomenon that is like fairly common throughout, I would imagine, a lot of robotics programs, not just FIRST, but FIRST is unique in the fact that it does try and encourage like alternative, not just robotics. I mean, that's literally one of its catchphrases, isn't it? So we've attempted to allocate some time for every student. They're able to select like a major and a minor. So you can like major in, let's say, mechanical or software, and then you can try and spend a little bit of time. And that's still in its early stages. But I do think that having that balance between time for robots and then time to help the team itself grow, I think that a lot of people have been seen that in a positive light.
And it's definitely made a really positive impact on the team. We have a scouting sub-team, which I am the lead of, which is, last year it was essentially just me, and I also had a full-time like mechanical role. So this year I've stepped down a bit from the mechanical side to focus on scouting, and it's definitely made a really large improvement on the way we do things. We have an electrical sub-team, which last year it was just one student who wired the entire robot in like 2 days. So now we have a larger student interest in that. We also enable programming kids to spend some time on the mechanical side, mechanical kids to spend time on learning about programming. And I think just overall, it's
just sort of an effort of cross-pollination and making sure that people can focus on things that might not necessarily be their primary interest, but are still fun nonetheless, and
good skills.
Just good things to know how to do.
That's the pollination. That's the intentional bee joke.
Yep. Glad you guys caught that.
Of course. Well, I guess that all culminates into one big thing. You guys went to Worlds. You did really well at Worlds. What did you guys rate your experience? You know, what did you guys like about it and everything?
Yeah, man, the hotels were crazy hard to find. You guys, Taylor Swift concert was a nightmare, but besides that, it was awesome. It was really cool.
I always love talking to the other teams and seeing the other, what other people do. Last year specifically, it was really fun to be competing against, Citrus. trying to break the streak to Einstein's and stuff. But it was cool because they were right behind us in the stands, and they were like super supportive and like really nice, and they cheer for us even when we beat them or we, you know, and
Yeah,
they,
Citrus was really cool.
it was
We had
really
fun.
cool, and I think you talked a lot with them about strategy
I
and
mean, their strategy is insane. They have a bunch of people. They actually put up all of their documents on how they run their scouting. It's online for free. So I've definitely been taking a lot of inspiration from the way they do things to try to improve our own team. I think Worlds, it was my first year going to Worlds. It was my rookie year, and it was definitely way more than I ever could have imagined. I mean, the second I walked into our field house for the first time, it was immediately like I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and going to Worlds felt like coming home. You know?
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I've looked at their documentation too because like I do a lot of strategy and all that, so it's just deep, very deep.
It's crazy, and it's
It's like so many layers of everything. It's like wow.
I mean, yeah,
you do a lot when you got that many students that are
they have
interested
18.
in the sub team.
They have like 18 people just for app development, and you know they have a different like team rep for the alliance selection and their stand strategist, and they have like they average out their different scouts per robot instead of just having one person, and it's very complex.
Expensive.
It's very impressive. If any Citrus people are listening, it's very impressive.
They're a very impressive team.
So, on a more personal scale, what sparked like interest in robotics for you guys?
I think I've always just had an interest in robotics. I remember as a child, I had this book on robotics, and it was like showcasing the different technological advancements that we've made. And I remember reading the book over and over and over. In the school I go to, there's like a newscast, I guess, for our journalism program. And Liam from our team put a broadcast on about an open house for this team. And I remember seeing it and thinking, wow, I mean, that would be cool. So I came to the open house, and I remember stepping in the doors and thinking, this is where I need to be. This is where I belong. And like when Will showed me around and answered the 8,000 questions I had, and I went home and I signed up, and it is the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, I think you made a pretty good decision. You know, seems like you like it.
Yeah. I mean, so like for me, I've always loved working with my hands, you know, from how long I can remember. And I heard about the team from one of my friends who was already on it, who I do rock climbing with, a random connection. And so, you know, I came in and took a look around the shop, and I had an interest in doing like combat robotics just separately for myself. And then I heard they had a combat team, so it was actually part of the reason I joined. But then, you know, having joined the team for that, I really fell in love with First and that style of robotics, if you like. And yeah, I mean, I love working in the machine shop. It's one of my favorite parts. It's one of the main students for machining and stuff. So I love all that and building robots. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess since I got involved through First in the FLL program, I've always had an interest in robotics as well. But I think paradoxically, it's not really the interest of like robotics just for the sake of robots. I've always been a big math person, and I plan on majoring in physics and math in college. So it was more the element of like integrating those types of problem solving skills. And I'd also been programming for a while. I'd had programming experience prior to joining FLL, but just having the opportunity to apply it to something that I found really interesting, and also in a way that could draw on a lot of problem solving skills from a lot of disciplines. And I think working on the software for the robot has been really awesome, just for me personally, because there are a lot of things in there that might not even look like they're related to robotics at first glance, but you can draw on a lot of different domains to make something work on a robot. And that's just been really fun, just figuring things out and solving interesting problems.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have to share that like similar story of getting into First, because the problem solving, but the atmosphere you're in makes it so it's like it's
Yeah,
they
having
make
something
the
to work
atmosphere.
towards.
Yeah.
I think another big aspect for me is like the community and the goals.
Yeah.
We're a very driven team, and I've put in like 18 hours a week, 20 hours a week the entire season, to get it done. And having the feeling that, you know, everybody's with you, everybody's kind of up in arms, we're all fighting for the same goal, and feeling the family kind of feeling, especially at competitions, is very important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest part about first as well. And I think all of us share that similar about it. It's like it's such a good community where it's like everything is like accepted and everything. It's nice. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. There's not a better place. I feel like especially at, like a competition.
Yeah.
And it's the type of thing that's difficult to describe, especially to people outside of First who've never been in a program. But like, there's just that particular sense of the particular vibe, particular sense of just there are a bunch of people here that are really interested in things that you are really interested about as well, and always really eager to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's really nice to feel that, like, when we're competing with other teams, you know, I want them to win as much as I want us to win. And, well, maybe not quite as much, but almost. You know, everybody's in it together, winning, losing, the high emotions. Everybody, there's something that you can learn from everybody at the competition. And it's very cool to be able to, you know, nerd out.
Yeah. I guess kind of wrapping up with our questions here. You know, I know we talked a little bit about you got like the naval base and how people go into there, but have your alumni pursued like STEM, and different majors and jobs pretty frequently? Like, do you have like a percent maybe?
Yeah, a ton of them. I mean,
Probably upwards
the
of
guy that you set up the meeting with was on our team in like 2016-17, and then he went on to get a degree in mechanical engineering, and then come back to mentor. And same with a lot.
The college for engineering, Liam's in college for engineering and robotics. I'd say, pretty much everybody here. Preston wants to go into engineering. You're going into, I mean,
Almost everyone chases some. I mean,
yeah,
it's the vast majority follow some STEM related education for a career.
I mean, because it's a really great environment to have STEM. I mean, our parents are pretty much all STEM people.
Yeah.
We're in STEM programs from a young age. We grow up loving the STEM environment. As we get older, we go into, you know, college and become STEM, and then our kids, hopefully someday, will get back into the, you know.
And I guess one of the things that's nice about our team is that, it definitely promotes a lot of people to go into those STEM engineering pathways. But there's also a lot of, due to the nature of people in this region, a lot of them will end up working on the base if they're pursuing STEM careers. Like there's a lot of legacy, I guess. Like there have been some people who have graduated from the team and come back, people who've been on the team for many, many years, and kind of the team is able to sustain itself on that continued support from people who have been on it, who are currently on it. You know, we don't really, we're not afraid of dissolving, because there are just so many people that have been involved in the team, and it's meant a lot to a lot of people. So, it's we're very glad that there's that much support and that it's sticking around.
If none of our alumni came back, we probably wouldn't have any mentors.
Yep.
Almost all of them were on at least a robotics team, and many of them on this one.
Yeah, and then we could probably count like only 2 mentors that haven't.
Yeah.
So those are basically all the questions from our team, and now it's more like open floor. You guys can ask anything, literally anything.
Awesome.
What does your scouting look like?
All right, so the way that our scouting works is we created we worked with team 2451 Honage to make the scouting pass app, so it's available on the iOS store. We and it allows you to like scout offline. So it's like what it does is it basically you go through all the format, right, and then at the end you get a QR code, and then this is our best part. We have a shopping scanner, like a grocery scanner, and then we have a spreadsheet. So we just scan in all of the QR codes into our spreadsheet, and then from there, I created so basically the scouting pass, our programmer and like a mentor from Ponage, they work together on making like that work for the iOS store and on like Chromebooks and all that. So it can work on the web, it can work offline, it can work anywhere. And what I did was I made an analysis app so that reads the spreadsheet, and I basically can use that to do to break down different teams like score. It's pretty basic. It was kind of like just get me back learning Python, but that's kind of how we work. So, and then we just have rotation. So we have 6 scouts because that's how much we have like bandwidth wise per like every 5 matches. So
That's awesome. That's a really cool. I guess going off of the QR code, this is just somewhat tangential, but I heard of a couple other teams last year doing similar things for parts like batteries and stuff. So the idea of like a QR code being used to track information, whether it be scouting, that's awesome. That's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, I think QR codes definitely are something that I would want to look into because it sounds way more convenient than the way we do it.
I mean, if you need to work offline, this works great because it's all local. But if there's the spreadsheet, like parsing it in, it takes a little bit of getting used to because the way it parses it's a little harder to understand, which is why you should have like headings and all that. But when you're looking at the data, but it's just really nice because that's something we struggle. We used to do paper scouting. That's so hard to organize. So
yeah. So what kind of information do you guys look at?
So we basically get for this season we're looking at average so we get speaker totals, amp period totals. So we look into like how good is the team at amping because that's one of the biggest things this year. And even then it's just easier to coordinate. We look at we just look at that. We look at the autonomous, how many they're scoring, where they're starting in autonomous, and all that. So we can get an idea of how they're running a 5-note, 4-note, 6-note, 7-note. Who knows? We haven't seen this one yet. But like we look at that, and then we look to we have like a note section at the end as well. So we look into the driver skill since while I'm able to watch a lot of the matches, I'm not able to watch every match, which I can't judge the driver skill myself, which is something I would like to do, but our scouts are able to judge they were a little tippier, they don't really know how to get around defense. So that's something that if we're looking into line selection, right? Like if we get picked or if we are picking, we could look at our teams and see, all right, maybe this team, their speaker accuracy isn't great, how many shots they missed and all that as well. Maybe we'll have them lob because they're pretty good at picking up from the source, so maybe we can have them lob notes over, and that's something we tried out at our regional events. So we look into basically kind of like the basics of that.
Here's maybe just a random question that so I guess the reason I'm asking is because our week 1, there were a lot of things that did not go as we wanted it to go. And there were a lot of issues like mechanical inconsistencies that we've been working out. But quite a few things went wrong. So what is the worst thing that has happened to your robot on the field that everybody is panicking about? And then getting it off of the field and fixing it. Have you had any moments like that where?
Yep. So basically, we competed week 3. We actually are right now. So we have a week 6 coming up this weekend. So we learned a lot that we have a lot of consistency issues, and one of that was we had our intake out in the field, right? So we're going for a note. A belt slipped off of one of the rollers, so it couldn't actually spin properly. But we couldn't see that obviously. So then we learned about this after because we were watching the video, but we couldn't see that. So we were at closer to the other team's source, right? And a team kind of going for the note that we were going for went in, and since we have polycarb, we have a polycarb intake, so it can bend a little bit. A team kind of went towards the actual intake and bent the polycarb, and the roller fell out. So we lost both rollers, and then 4 of the dead axle pulleys. So that was pretty fun. So we didn't lose, they didn't break or anything. They just fell off. So they were just on the field. I was stressed as hell. I was like, oh, what are we gonna do if these rollers break? We don't have that many spare. But we were lucky. We had just enough pulleys as well to fix all that. Good. So that was probably our big But we realized the reason it was able to flex like that is because we just didn't have enough churros or just enough shafts going across. So we wanted a little bit of play this way, but not a little bit of play flexing like this, because that leads to a lot more pulleys shearing and all that. But we want a little bit of flex this way so we can get smacked around a little bit. That's fine. But
it's cool talking to another team that has done over the bumper intakes, because there's a particular set of problems that I think that a lot of us can relate to now.
That particular sense of dread when a team comes.
I mean, at our week 1, we were still kind of ironing out our center lines and our scouting the center lines and everything. And there was a team that they hit us and we rammed into the stage or something.
Yeah.
And
they shoved their auto up.
During our auto, but it totally rendered our intake unusable, defunct for the entire match, and it was a finals.
Yeah, it was a finals. It was the last match we were in. It's
so rough.
It was unfortunate.
I think that's why we lost, but
yeah.
So we've definitely
contributing factor.
Yeah, so we're definitely prioritizing having a bunch of extra intakes we can hot swap.
And also completely redesigning the intake between them to make it not do that.
Yeah, we had to do a couple of design changes too, just so we can get more shafts across and everything.
Yeah.
Wait, I just had it. Yeah, so we have actually, lucky enough, we didn't actually design for this, but the way that our shooter is that if we go up to the source, we can actually.
Uh-oh. Are we frozen or are we?
No, he's frozen.
Oh dear. Well,
sorry, I don't really know much about the robot, so he'll be back.
I mean, if he's still frozen, I was also curious. I mean, I guess after this, then I had a question about organization level stuff. But sorry, you froze out for a little bit.
Sorry, I got a notification my phone's getting hot, so well, I guess hopefully if it doesn't freeze again, but basically we didn't design for this in our shooter, but if our intake breaks, we can actually still play the game because we can actually intake from the source directly. We can only score in the amp, but we got lucky with that. So
it's good. Yeah, that's a good feature. No, I've thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was also just curious about are you guys a school-based team?
Yeah.
And if in terms of getting students, are a lot of them do they get interested by I guess learning about it from teachers or you guys? Is that mainly your pipeline?
Lassie, do you want to talk about that a little more?
Yeah, sure. We host our team demonstrates a robot at STEM night, so I think that really brings in a lot of traction from kids.
Gotcha.
Additionally, we have an FLL middle school team, so a lot of the freshmen this year, they filtered in through the FLL team. So I think that's one of our biggest pipelines of getting underclassmen more involved, especially.
So is it linked between a separate middle school and a high school, or are the middle school and high school combined?
No, they're separate. It's in our district, but they're separate schools.
Cool.
Being based out of the school, what does that leave you guys for what does your space look like? Do you have a social field or any field elements, or where do you get your posts? Do you do any in-house machining, or where do you get that stuff?
So we have a CNC router. That's basically how we cut all of our parts. So we can do both aluminum and polycarb. So that's basically we avoid trying to do any hand cut parts because we've noticed that an inaccuracies compound, and that leads to pretty bad like inconsistencies with that. So we have, and then we basically have our machining with 1/4 inch polycarbon, 1/8 inch, and 1/4 inch aluminum. I guess with our space, we have a pretty decently sized lab. We do also have like a mill, a bandsaw, and a chop saw. And what we do for setting up like the field and all that is, right now we just kind of find spaces at our like school that aren't being used at like night. So right now we actually set up in the cafeteria. So we have about 2/3 of a full field over there, which is actually a lot more than I thought we would be able to get. But sometimes we set up in our auxiliary gym and all that. So we basically just wheel the carpets down and then put the speaker and the speaker amp, subwoofer, and anything else we need.
Nice.
So are a lot of your mentors teachers, or do you also mentor manpower from other?
Yeah. So we have 2 mentors. They're also teachers at the school.
Gotcha.
But we also have a very like big supporting class, of like a big supporting parent group. They help with building the field elements and everything. So I guess if Lacio wants to talk more about this, but we basically host an event called Regal Eagle Rampage. So we have to build all the field elements for that. Lacio, do you want to talk a little bit more about that and the parent involvement?
Yeah, so from kickoff, most of our parents on like our carpentry team, they make literally the whole field out of wood using the dimensions and all. And we host like a huge event called Regal Eagle Rampage, which is basically like a week 0 event. So it's like beginning of March-ish, yeah. So our parent volunteers, this year like 20 of our teams came, so like over 500 people came, so we had a lot to accommodate. So like fooding and like food issues, menus, all of that, the parents take care of, but so that leaves like the mechanical team more time to work on the robot while we take care of all that, and outreach-wise as well. So,
that's incredible.
Super cool.
How was it this year?
It was really good. I think, Mirage can count me on this, but I'm pretty sure we scored. So like the beginning part of the day was like practice matches. Whoever gets to the field first gets to play, things like that. And then after lunch, which was like after 11, we did like unofficial scoring matches. Like we had scorekeepers, and I think those results were posted in Blue Alliance unofficially. I'm not really sure. So I think it was pretty successful because we had a lot of traction from it, and we also extended it to be a week long at a local church where we collaborated with a neighboring team, and we extended it. We brought Rampage from our school to a local church, and teams came and practiced for the whole day.
That's really cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
Any other questions?
What's it like? Do you have a bunch of other teams in your area close by, or are you isolated?
We actually are. So Long Island is a pretty connected FIRST network. So I'd say within a 10-15 minute drive, there's about 3-4 teams at least. And then and across Long Island, basically, if it'll take about maximum 3 hours to get to anywhere, you can reach about 50 teams. So
and that's people coming from pretty far away for that event. That's cool though.
Teams come up for an hour to get an hour, 2 hours just to get over. People come from the New York City area, which is still pretty far from here.
Oh wow,
that's really cool.
And are you guys close with a lot of teams? Do you guys know?
Yeah. So we have a lot of friends. See, it's kind of funny because a lot of us did youth sports or something with other kids from other schools. So we already knew each other from that. And so it's really funny to see them in robotics. So we kind of we have a lot of connections with people on different teams, which it's a nice thing about being in the suburb area.
Yeah, sure. I think that's all the questions I have.
Yeah. It's been awesome talking. Thank you for having us.
And thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Yeah, this is great. And I'm excited to see you guys at Chesapeake. You guys can do really well.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, I'll admit I've snuck a look at the Blue Alliance and just seen a little bit of your robot in action, but it's awesome to talk to you guys. And
You guys are qualified for Worlds, right?
Yeah, we are. So hopefully
Right,
we'll see you
awesome.
guys at Worlds. Yeah, right.
Hopefully.
Good luck.
That's
All
exciting.
goes well this weekend.
Cool.
It will. It will. You guys are great. So.